Well, friends, many of you have witnessed all these videos about immigration raids, people within the immigrant community being terrorized left and right. ICE and similar organizations on another scale at the moment. And just so you know, this is not just an American problem. I see this in many parts in Europe. I see it in Australia. I see it in Canada. Pretty much many of these white dominated countries, they are doing this. America hates us. Whenever I say that, a lot of people get upset and people argue with me back and forth. But give me 10 minutes. Let me explain to you why we think America hates us. And what's happening right now has major implications, not just for people without papers, but for other folks who identify as black and brown. So give me 10 minutes. Let me walk you through this, and then I'll tell you why this matters for those of us who are investing in going back to Africa. It's been a very tough 10 months or so since Captain Orange and his goons took charge. And many people are suffering. Even people who are not directly impacted are suffering given the results of what's going on. So for the most part, they give you the politically savvy answers to what they're doing when the real truth is really hidden behind what they share on TV. I'm about to share with you all of that. But before we unpack all that, friends, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Warner Dede. If you're joining my channel for the first time, I'm a Kenyan American who is working his way back to the village, and I help people do the same. There are many people who have lived in diaspora for a while. There are people who have never been to Africa and want to move back to the village. So I spend time in Long Beach, California, but I also move back to Karateng, which is where I am. So right now, schools are closed, kids are out, and we are in the village. I have an amazing day ahead of us here because I'm expecting guests, very special guests. So there's cleaning going on, there's cooking going on. So I want you to walk with me in Karateng. You're going to see what our home looks like. Right now, I'm in my parents' home, just hanging out with the kids, but I'm going to head down to my home, which was built by my teams. And so if you need help with anything return, you need help with building, purchasing property, or sometimes you just need advice from those of us who spend a lot of time in the village. My number is below. Reach out. I'm happy to connect you with obviously people who know way more than I do. But anyway, folks, as you can see, the day is just perfect. The sun is shining. The kids are happy. Everything seems okay. And so my guests are about to arrive in about 3 hours or so. So we've got to put a few things together, and we're just going to enjoy the day. So today I'm not going anywhere. I will not be heading out to my construction sites, again, because I am hosting a group of returnees who are coming to spend the afternoon with me. Anyway, friends, so join me in Karateng. Karateng is in Western Kenya, in a city called Kisumu. I am literally 20 minutes away from CBD and 15 minutes away from the airport. So let's talk about this issue of white people or Westerners hating people like us. Before you argue with me, just listen to me for a moment. Number one, a lot of the politicians or people who talk about this issue of immigration will always present the answers that are more acceptable across the board. For example, they will say that enforcing immigration law is merely a question of laws. Because even in Kenya, we have immigration laws, and we are expected to follow the law no matter where we are. And so when we see immigration raids happening, it's simply because they're enforcing laws that are designed for a purpose. Now, many politicians actually frame this as a crime issue, especially Republicans. They frame this as an issue of getting rid of crime that is brought by immigrants or potential issues around terrorism and all that. So essentially, they link up foreigners with crime. When in fact, when you look at the data, native-born Americans are way more likely to commit crime as opposed to folks who are undocumented. But for the average person, if they simply say, hey, we are enforcing laws because these are our laws, we want to make sure we take away crime, we remove terrorism, an average person would absolutely agree with that. But that is the front they put ahead, hiding their true intentions. The other reality about enforcement of immigration laws all across many of these white-dominated countries is that immigration is what we call, one of the many things we call a wedge issue that oftentimes drives people to the polls. So Republicans will obviously go to the polls to vote to enforce immigration laws to get us out, when progressive folks usually want to take a more compassionate approach to immigration. And politicians on both ends of the spectrum use it as a wedge issue to drive their voters out to vote. So many of these folks who are making noise here could not even care less about the outcome. Like Captain Orange himself is on record for hiring undocumented workers for his businesses. Yet you'd think he is the one who is super against immigration, undocumented immigration. And then thirdly, the immigration system does not work on so many levels on purpose. In my view, they do it on purpose, because a system that is designed to keep so many people undocumented benefits a group of folks. And those folks who are benefiting from this broken system don't want to fix it, because if you fix it, then all the benefits go away. And essentially, I would say that the immigration system is almost like an extension of slavery. As many of you know, slavery at some point was legal. And then, of course, it became illegal. Now, those who were benefiting from institutionalized slavery at the time didn't just walk away. All they did was just to find different ways to enslave people. So the immigration system allows for these people to benefit from slave labor in the same way that the prison system in America allows for rich people to benefit from the slave labor. So there are so many rich people who are happy that the system is not working, quote unquote. But essentially, it's been designed to not function on purpose. And just so you know, the people who, quote unquote, warehouse immigrants who have been arrested make so much money. Because in America, if you are arrested on immigration-related issue, then they send you to one of these detention facilities that are designed to function like a prison. And so the prison business in America makes some people so much money. And so all they have to do is to pay politicians to create laws that will allow them to collect as many bodies as possible so that they can make money. And so this warehouse system that they put in place in America, where you collect people off the street for whatever crimes, and in fact, by the way, just so you know, a lot of the issues with immigration are not even criminal in nature. But if you break immigration laws, they almost treat you like you have committed a crime. Yes, there's some immigration issues that are criminal, but there are many of those things that are not considered crime per se. But the tail end of it is that they will go and collect these people, fill up detention centers, knowing full well that these people will go to court and it will take an enormous amount of time for their cases to be processed. I know people in my life who have been waiting for more than a decade to see a judge for their cases to be heard. And in the meantime, they could either warehouse you in any of these prisons, or they always hold a leash on you. So this is big business, which is now my next point, that there is a lot of money to be made around issues of immigration. And especially think about cheap labor. A lot of this hard work that happens in America, whether it is farm work, whether it is construction, or things that require physical labor, the average American is not going to go out there in the summer, sitting out in like 100-degree weather, fixing roads. They don't do that. If you go there, you'll always find it's mostly undocumented folks, and they pay them peanuts. I remember there's a time I was replacing our carpet in one of the rooms. So I go to one of these stores, hardwares, and I pay for the carpet. So I look at the labor that I paid the store versus how much they paid the person who did it. It was insane. I think the labor was probably over $600. But I kind of had a chit chat with the guy who eventually came to my house. The guy was paid a little more than $100. So I paid 6 times what they ended up paying an undocumented person to come to unable to do this kind of work. And so there is a lot of money to be made out of immigrants. And unfortunately, this quote unquote broken system is not going anywhere anytime soon. And now the other real reason too behind all this noise, behind this these immigration raids and the zeal to kick out immigrants is just plain old racism. Now you're welcome to agree with me, but the truth is, many white communities in Africa and out of Africa hate black and brown people. There's just no way around it. And let me give you a simple example. The other day when Russia started doing its thing in Europe, you had millions and millions of Ukrainians running away and all that. You could see every single white community, whether it's in Europe, in North America, people were opening up their doors, individuals who are welcoming Ukrainian families, no issues at all. And it didn't matter whether it was just 5 Ukrainians or it was 1 million Ukrainians. Nobody complained. But then when they go to Africa, they blow up our country, sell weapons, and then blow up things. People cannot survive. And then you start seeing Africans running into Europe. All of a sudden, the world is ending. All of a sudden, they have a major issue. They are pouring money, building fences, doing all kinds of things to keep us out. But when you see people coming from white communities into their homes, nobody's complaining. So yes, at the root cause of all of this is just plain old racism. These people do not want us here. They love what they get out of us. They just don't want us here. So if there's ways we could work for them, we could give them our labor, our expertise and all that without living here, they would love that. So that's what it is. So what does this mean for those of us who are caught up in this, or those of us who live in our communities? Number one, remember your position in America is never guaranteed. Especially if you are not born and raised in America. Your position here is never guaranteed. These people, for the most part, are simply tolerating us. Now, I'm not saying that is what is happening everywhere. No, there are amazing Americans. There are amazing people who have welcomed us in diaspora. But a good bit of white people here simply tolerate us. Now, that said, as I said, whether you're impacted directly or not, whatever they're doing with immigration, one way or the other is going to catch up with you. For example, right now, they've already scared a lot of farm workers. Go to the grocery stores and look at the cost of food today. Right now, if you're looking for labor, looking for somebody to cut your grass, you're looking for somebody to fix your home, there are very few people who are available. And so whatever they're doing is really catching up in terms of the cost of living. And so all I say is that you may think you are far away from all of this, but one way or the other, whatever they do affects every single person. I see farmers who have produce that are just rotting in their farms because there's nobody to go work on them. Folks, the truth is these people absolutely hate us. And that's why I say, even if you don't like Africa, I ask you, give it a shot. There is nothing that you can compare with the kind of peace of mind we have in this place we call home, folks. All right, folks, that's all I have for you for today. Thank you for joining me. And